In 1944, British paratroopers jumped into occupied France, carrying something unusual. Not just weapons, not just radio equipment. A motorcycle, folded inside an airborne container, dropped from the same aircraft and ready to ride in about 11 seconds. It was called the Welbike. Built in a secret special operations executive laboratory during World War II, it became one of the strangest machines ever sent into combat. And most people have never even heard of it. To understand how this machine came to exist, you first need to know about a place that officially didn't exist at all. About an hour north of London, near the town of Welwyn, stood a grand estate known as the Frythe. Before the war, it had been a private hotel. In August 1939, British intelligence took it over, turned it into a secret laboratory, and posted guards with German shepherds around the grounds. The cover name they chose was perfect. Inter-Services Research Bureau. Neutral. Boring. Exactly what it was supposed to sound like. Officially, the site was known as Station 9. This was where weapons were developed for the Special Operations Executive. The organization created to set Europe ablaze from within, through sabotage, undercover agents, and resistance networks across occupied Europe. Station 9 produced silenced pistols, magnetic mines designed to destroy ships, and delayed action detonators. Nearly every invention carried the prefix Well in honor of Welwyn. Wellrod, Welbum, Welgun, and one day, Welbike. Two men were behind the idea. Harry Lester, an SOE engineer, obsessed with motorcycles, and Lieutenant Colonel John Dolphin, the commander of Station 9. The concept was simple. An agent or paratrooper lands behind enemy lines. He survives the drop. But the target may still be several kilometers away, and walking takes time. Time gets people killed. They needed a machine that could arrive with the soldier, or at least close enough. The problem was the standard airborne supply container. It measured roughly 130 centimeters long, 38 centimeters wide, and 30 centimeters high. Designing a motorcycle small enough to fit inside a box like that was not just an engineering challenge. It was almost a puzzle, but they found an answer. The Welbike was the smallest motorcycle ever used by the British Armed Forces. Just over a meter long, weighing only 32 kilograms. Its design was stripped down to the absolute minimum. No suspension, no headlights, just a single rear brake. Power came from a 98cc two-stroke Villiers engine. The fuel tank was so small that gasoline did not always flow naturally into the carburetor. Every so often, the rider had to manually pump pressure into the tank using a small pump built directly into it. Uncomfortable, awkward, but it worked, and most importantly, it folded. The handlebars folded backward, the seat dropped down, the motorcycle slid diagonally into the container. The only way it could fit inside. During demonstrations, the Welbike could be unpacked and made ready to ride in about 11 seconds. 11 seconds. In a field, under fire. Between 1942 and 1943, three 641 Welbikes were built. They were issued to the British 1st and 6th Airborne Divisions. They were dropped during the Normandy landings and used again during Operation Market Garden at Arnhem. But this is where the story changes. In real combat, the Welbike proved to be a deeply flawed machine. The paratrooper landed in one place. The container carrying the motorcycle landed somewhere else, sometimes kilometers away. By the time a soldier found his bike, the advantage of speed had already disappeared. The tiny 10-inch wheels bogged down quickly in mud and sand. Carrying equipment was nearly impossible. Even a single rider pushed the little machine to its limit. Eventually, many soldiers simply abandoned the motorcycles and continued on foot. It was faster that way. A brilliant idea. Imperfect execution. In the end, many Welbikes saw more use around airfields and military bases than on actual battlefields. After the war, the remaining Welbikes were shipped to the United States. Because they lacked a front brake, they could not legally be used on public roads in many places, so most ended up being bought by farmers for work around their land. Lieutenant Colonel Dolphin did not stop there. He founded his own company and created a civilian version, the Corgi scooter, which entered production in 1947. And the core idea a motorcycle small enough to fold up and carry anywhere, survived long after the Welbike's disappointing combat experience. In 1981, Honda introduced the Honda Motocampo, a folding motorcycle designed to fit inside the trunk of the first-generation Honda City. The two machines are often compared because of their remarkably similar philosophy of compact transportation. Today, Station 9 is a residential complex. The Frith estate has been divided into apartments. Almost nothing remains of the secret laboratory, except scattered records and old archives. And a few motorcycles sitting quietly in museums, the smallest motorcycles ever carried into war. If you enjoyed this story about the secret inventions of Station 9, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. There are still many forgotten pages of history ahead.